Hi, everybody. It's Erin Johnson with Outstanding Ohio here today with another Lunch and Learn. Today we have Susan Fox talking to us on the topic of doing market research for your content marketing. Susan is an award-winning, internationally known, accomplished, and highly respected neuro-marketer and market research trainer. Additionally, she's a professional hypnotist and applies her understanding of the mind and brain to marketing strategies for small business owners. As a mom and USAF veteran, she's been married for 40 years to her Marine Corps husband. Susan loves dogs and horses and is originally from Arizona. And a funny story about Susan is she was once assigned to supervise young girls at a Girl Scout camp, and she was in charge of the spaghetti dinner, and she thought it would be a good idea to cook them for about 30 minutes to cook those noodles. And after that, her husband, Rick, took over as the cook of the family. So welcome, Susan. Thank you for giving your time to us today to share your knowledge, and looking forward to hearing more about content marketing.
Thank you very much. Should I get started now?
Yep, go ahead. You should be able to share.
Okay. Okay, so now I just have to do the share screen. And hopefully this will go big. Oh, let's see. There we go. Okay. All right. So I am here to share some ideas about how to get qualified leads. And this all has to do with content marketing and also creating memorable customer experiences. And that's what we all do as small business owners. We are here to serve our market. So, in addition to being a talented and priceless business product or service provider, that's you are primarily a market audience question answerer. So I'd like you to think about this. And I've been training people in various topics for 3 decades. So I always start at the most basic level, assuming that there are some beginners in the audience. So if this seems to be too simplistic, I apologize ahead of time, but this seems to work best for me. All right, so as you're thinking about your ideal prospect, whatever your market is, they have one main burning question in their mind. And you are the service provider or the product provider that can uniquely answer that one burning question. And when you understand how to answer the question the way that they are thinking it, people are interested. In fact, you fascinate them. And that's what we want to do. We want to fascinate and intrigue people so that they see we are the expert that they're looking for. Question answerers, that's you and me, create memorable customer experiences. And we do it by creating a story that is very interesting to our target market. Not so much to us, because we are actually talking with beginners. They are just beginning to figure out how to get the solution to the question in their mind. So we need to think like them and essentially put ourselves in their shoes when it comes to the content that we're using to market with. Clearly answering prospect questions is what we're all about. This proves to your target audience that we are the trustworthy business resource that they've been looking for. And understanding this is how we build the know, like, trust relationship that we need to build so that we have a lasting business relationship with our ideal target market. Writing content mainly explaining your offer does not clearly answer what's in the mind of your prospect. But in like 98% of the websites that I see, because I'm also a copywriter, I see that people are mainly explaining about their offer. So again, remember, we're focused on building that know, like, trust relationship. So I'm going to use my website copy as an example. And my website is designed to attract people who are looking how to create qualified leads. Because when you create a qualified lead, it saves you time and money and frustration, and it improves your sales conversion rate. So in the mind of my ideal prospect, people have the question in their mind, how can I get new customers? I'm looking for somebody who is compatible with me. We both agree that we're a good fit for each other. And so the way that the brain and the mind work together is globally, 55% of the population thinks in mind images. That's visually. This is globally. This is the way that the brain functions. Okay, so this picture represents my market of the question in an image form in the mind of my ideal prospect. And the business doesn't matter because it's always the same. People are always looking for people that are easy to work with, where they feel comfortable sharing their expertise in whatever their business is. So imagine whatever it is that you do, what could be a picture that would represent your ideal prospect and what's in their mind of what they're looking for. Service and product information that I provide on my website must be about how to generate qualified leads or get new customers. That is what is going to keep website visitors on the website the longest, because they already see, okay, well, this person seems to be thinking the same way that I'm thinking. And so this is something for your website, for your social media content, for your videos, for your podcasts, whatever it is you're doing, it's all content. So the burning question in the website visitor's mind for my website is, how do I get new customers? I've got to stay focused on this to stay in the shoes of my ideal prospect. And this is what's on my homepage. I'm already talking to them. And I encourage you to please look at my website and use it as a model for your website or for your Facebook page or whatever blog content you are writing about. Because when we do the market research and we see what people are talking about in our market, that's how we know this is the type of content that they want. And typically, you are not marketing to you, you are marketing to somebody else. And so it takes training to think like your ideal prospect. So here's an example. This is a service provider. And I've done a lot of virtual networking with people here in the Ohio area. So I know that there are insurance agents, and insurance agents have to jump through compliance hoops first before they can do any marketing. But it's important for them to do the market research so that they can take it to their compliant department and say, this is what I've discovered they're talking about. And so in my videos, social media posts, or whatever, this is what I'd like to write about. This is what I'd like to publish. And so your compliance department is your partner in you creating content that's really going to be okie dokie for whatever it is you're doing. So after you do the market research, and this is what I do, I will create a market research, a report for my clients, and I will actually show you, this is what your market segment is talking about. And so when you talk about this, they know you're the expert that they want to hire. Okay, so in this example, we're talking about somebody who sells health insurance for seniors. Okay, and it's important to understand that marketing is really a great big experiment. And so That's why it takes a while for you to know how to connect and say things in just the way that your market segment is thinking about them. So the first basic rule of marketing using content marketing is, what is it your market audience wants to be associated with? Do you think they want to be associated with something that's positive or negative? Well, the answer is that depends. It depends how things are going in their life and what story they're living. But basically, what I do with my customers and my students is I help them create the content marketing story, because everything is a story. People are living story experiences. And this, again, is all a function of the brain and brain chemicals, which drives people to market in a certain way and to look for questions and answers to questions in a certain way. All right, so let's just say in our practice example here that the insurance agent who wants to sell insurance for seniors, they need to start doing market research. And the easiest way to do that is to start on Google, because Google's the biggest search engine. All right, so I just pulled this up. This is stuff that I did yesterday. So just to let you know, this is very current research. It's only 1 day old, the stuff that I found. So we start out by going general and then to specific. So I found this article, the 50 most common health concerns for seniors. All right, so now here we are in Google, and I want to tell you about a software program that I use, which is called Keywords Everywhere. Now, Keywords Everywhere is a very inexpensive tool to use. I think it cost me $10 to have 100,000 searches. So everybody can afford that when they're doing their own market research. So you'll see up here, you see the volume number, and the keyword that I used is obesity in seniors, because I'm starting out generally and I'm guessing what is it they're talking about? What is it that really interests them? And so using Keywords Everywhere, the statistics came up that nobody is using this keyword. And so this is good to know so that I can stop trying to promote to this market segment. So all of the research that you do is really very valuable, because it's kind of like you've got your own private director finder, like a traffic cop. And then down here, the number of searches, 10 per month, obesity in older adults statistics. And so you see all of the choices here. And I really like Keywords Everywhere, because it instantly gives you the search numbers, which instantly lets me know, okay, this is the wrong way to go. All right, so now we're just going to change this a little bit. So now I changed the keyword to just obesity, and look at what happened at the volume. 135,000 people used the keyword search term obesity. Well, some people would think, oh, that's a really good term for me to use. I should be using that. But the truth of it, the matter is that 135,000 searches per month is way too competitive a search term. So big corporations most likely have already paid a lot of advertising dollars for this term. So you also don't want a really high number that reveals, yeah, people are searching for this. You want something that's really a little bit lower than that, maybe 500 a month and below. So now we look at the sources of who is interested in using the key term obesity. And it turns out here we've got the Mayo Clinic. Now this is all the traffic that's going to the Mayo Clinic site. That's a lot of nice traffic, but over here we see that nobody's talking about it. And so that means that's not a very good topic to be talking about, and that's not very good content, because it's not the burning question. Can anybody imagine why perhaps this is not something that people want to be associated with? can you just unmute yourself and tell me why you might think that this is not something that you want to write about? Anybody?
There's a lot of negative connotation to it, and
Right, a lot of negative connotation to it. So nobody wants to be associated with their fat. Okay, we'll keep going here.
how can you, I looked away for a second. How did you get to from the previous screen to that one?
I
Or
just,
is it just a scroll down?
yeah, just to scroll down.
Okay, and then what is the little number with the, I can't tell what that is, price sign or something? That you said that means they're not talking about it?
Right, over here on hopefully you can see my cursor. You
Yeah,
see over here where it says this represents Facebook.
okay,
So 587 people on Facebook received this link. There were 587 people who shared this link.
on Facebook.
Well,
Okay.
you know, that's an okay number, but it's not thousands of people. And so even though the website is getting all of these visits, people still don't want to be associated with that. And this is how we see the stats here. And the way that you get the stats here is keywords everywhere is a part of this. And so is all another Chrome extension from Neil Patel. He will show you, his software shows you these results.
Okay, and what's the 2,199?
That's how many links there are to this website.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here we are, we're learning about this. This is the insurance agent that thinks, oh, this is probably a good topic to talk about. But that insurance agent, after doing market research, is discovering, no, this is not really a very good topic. And so as we continue to scroll down, this is only on page 1 of Google. As we continue to scroll down, we see that the website is getting lots of traffic, but not any engagement. And here's a lot of links, but nobody wants to talk about it. Okay, that's what these terms mean. And this is all just on Google page 1. Okay, so this continues to show lots of links, but people are not sharing the links. Lots of traffic, but this also has to do with sales conversion rates. That's why it's not happening, because nobody wants to be associated with their fat. Now, it's very interesting to me to see that this wiki page, almost 4,500 people have shared the link. That means they're glad to research and read about it on the Wikipedia page. The Wikipedia page is getting lots of traffic to it. And so this is a possibility that if you had a Wikipedia page that people want to talk about this, but pretty much it's kind of quiet. People really don't want to talk about this. So if you think about your own business, this is the same way that I do market research for content marketing. This is a different type of market research. This is not to check and see if the market is lucrative. This is strictly from a copywriter's viewpoint and a neuro-marketer's viewpoint. This is what people are or are not talking about. And when you talk about what's interesting to your market, that's when you really engage and you really connect with your ideal target audience. Okay, so now I give you, I just kind of highlighted this note, and when you download these free software programs or almost free software programs, you'll see what these things mean. And so this is really an easy way to see how to best engage with people most likely wanting to do business with you. And this is the Wikipedia page, and so people want to read about this. A lot of times people that don't, that are associated with things that they know are important, but they don't want to talk about them. They do want to know about them. And then when you give them enough information, they want to come to their own conclusion about whether or not they should take action on it. This is the same for any business. All right, so I continue to do market research to find out how I could help my insurance agent who wants to sell insurance policies to seniors. And here's what was very interesting. We found out that seniors are very interested in knee pain relief exercises. This is a much smaller number than obesity. As you can see, it's much smaller. It's still a little bit too high, but that's okay, because look at how many people are talking about it on Facebook and even on Pinterest. Look at all the traffic that's getting to Healthline. That's a lot of traffic, and people are talking about it. This means they're interested in it. And this is an important part of content marketing, because when you talk about what's in the mind of your prospect, then they know you get them. And when people feel understood, they feel like, okay, I can talk freely to this person about the goals I want to achieve, the dreams I want to live. Okay, so here we are, exercises to help knee pain in pictures. Look at WebMD. Look at how many people shared this link, 20,000 people. And look at how many shared this link on Pinterest, 1,500 people. So you see, this is really a hot topic for my insurance agent. So then once we understand what's the hot topic, what is really interesting the market, then you could write a blog post if you're qualified, exercises to help knee pain in pictures. What you can do is you can use this as a headline for your blog post or for your social media content. And you could interview a doctor that specializes in knee pain relief for seniors, or maybe a physical therapist, or whoever that professional is. So there's a lot of value out of doing the market research first. And that's what my clients tell me. They're so glad that it was a good investment, because they realize, oh, this is what they're talking about. This is what I want to talk about, because you're focused on helping your market. Okay, so now I'm just showing you a little bit more. Best exercises for knee pain. Nobody's really talking about that, but also you want to think about the following that's already been established for some of these very well-known websites, because that, of course, is going to affect what you're doing in your content marketing. Okay, so now at the bottom of the page, again, this is just on Google page 1. Here again, we see the search numbers for what people are doing. And so this helps us understand arthritis for seniors is a hot topic. And so we just have to see more specifically, what do we want to talk about for seniors, so that they can see you're an insurance agent that cares about them, because you're providing them information that helps them with their stories. And you're not selling insurance directly. You're making yourself become a trusted business resource, and that's what people want. You are a friend. You're developing long-term relationships with your market. Now, this is trend data for the term knee strengthening exercises. And like I said, I did this research yesterday just to show you, and this is a part of Keywords Everywhere. Notice the uptrend for this month. The uptrend, that's what these lines mean, up and down. There is an uptrend for people doing knee strengthening exercises. So again, this is great market research and information, but I also am going to show you, just by changing one letter in your search term, that your research results can be skewed. So this search term is knee strengthening exercises, plural. And now look at what happened with knee strengthening exercise, singular. Look at how the statistics are skewed. So that's important. The term, just by one letter, can make a big difference in the results you're getting from your market research. Okay, so now we are creating memorable marketing messages for customer experiences. And what happens is we create information so that the customer or the prospect understands a use value feeling. How much use am I going to get out of this knowledge? How am I going to apply this so that I can achieve the goals I want to achieve or live the dreams that I want to live? And so it must be really relevant to your market audience. Your content needs to be very relevant. So now we've got a couple of pictures here. And so I'm talking about still health insurance. And of course, what happens is that as a matter of life, the stories that we live, sometimes we get owies. Sometimes we need to use that health insurance coverage so that we can go to the doctor to, facilitate healing or recovery from injuries. So you've got a negative picture over here, and you've got a very engaging picture over here. And so this is all a part of understanding what kind of images to use in your content marketing as well. So when you focus on the pain image below, what kind of ideas are coming to your mind? And also, again, putting yourself in your customer's shoes or in their mind or their viewpoint. Think about what ideas are they thinking about with this pain picture. And is that the kind of feeling that you want to trigger? So you have to decide that. Like I said earlier, marketing is all about experimenting and knowing how to create your content. So then, now here's the positive. When you focus on a more pleasurable image, what ideas come to your mind? And what do you think is in the mind of your customer or your ideal prospect? And so this helps you understand what your approach is for your content marketing. Do I want to talk about avoiding injury? But just in case, you accept the imminence that sometimes you're going to need health insurance. And so isn't it better to be prepared now and not need it? And then when you do need it, you're ready. So again, your content marketing, your approach. When you create memorable customer experiences, this is all about content marketing. So if you didn't know that's what it was called, that's what it's called. And really nowadays, pretty much all we do, all of us business people, we do content marketing. Okay, so now what is neuromarketing? Neuromarketing has to do with the way that the brain thinks. And so the brain thinks in specific, essentially 4 living computer software programs, or the equivalent of 4 viewpoints or 4 intentions. We are always interested in doing good for ourselves. And neuromarketing actually just works with predictability and reliability of the way people see their lives. And that includes how brain chemicals are reacting and responding to your perceptions of what's going on. So it also includes the psychology of buying and also understanding the voice of your content as you are speaking solutions to your target audience. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what these 4 programs are that are actually in the brain. And this is, of course, every human, because every human has a brain. All right, now, I see that this is kind of in the way, but I'll just work with it. All right, so now if you could create a 4-pane panel like I've created here, you've got the left brain, which is the task-oriented part of the brain, and then you've got the right hemisphere of the brain, which is the people-oriented part of the brain. And so just basically, if you think about your customers are thinking from these 4 viewpoints about your content that you're using to approach helping them live their dreams. And that's what we're focused on. We're focused on helping people achieve goals and live their dreams. That's what we do as we serve our market. So in the lower left brain, this is a picture of Leona Helmsley. And for those of you who don't know who Leona Helmsley is, Leona Helmsley was a very dynamic person. She wound up being a very wealthy person in hotels. But what happened to her is the way that she saw things is she started to step on people and she didn't care about people. Now, of course, our market needs to feel like they're cared about. Our market audience members, they need to feel like we care about what we're doing, that we're not just in it for the money. So when you're posting and you're talking all about your offer, that doesn't show you're caring. And in this quadrant of the brain, this program where we act like Leonas, if you will, I've just kind of namelessly, you can kind of understand what's happening in your brain and in your mind. We're focused on efficiency. And sometimes we may seem insensitive to other people because we're so focused on efficiency. And the most important thing for us when we are thinking using this viewpoint is we like to feel a sense of control. And the way that this part of the brain thinks is using words. And so when you're thinking words, you're using the lower left part of your brain. And the brain chemical that's used here is testosterone. Testosterone is a very important brain hormone that both men and women use so that we can achieve goals. And testosterone, the voice of testosterone, chemically speaking, is to provide and protect, especially for our loved ones. So when we care about our market, then this actually comes out as being an inspirational leader instead of a dictator, an overpowering dictator. And that's what happened with Leona Helmsley. She went the other way and she became kind of like a dictator, as we all do. And I'm not sure if she died in prison or not, but if you read stories about Leona Helmsley, you'll be able to get a better picture of what's happening in this part of the brain. Okay, so then we move up to the upper left part of the brain, and the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 actually refer to the processing speeds of these programs in the brain. So the fastest processing quadrant is the one most closely associated with testosterone. That's the Leonas. Those are the action takers, and they're really get me to the bottom line. I don't want to know the reasons why you can't do what I want you to do, and it's just really very fast. So think about the people that you're talking to. If you're trying to establish a relationship and they're starting to kind of act nudgy a little bit, that's because they're not focused on the other brain chemicals. They're not from that viewpoint. They're from this viewpoint, and they want you to get to the bottom line fast. So in the upper left quadrant, this is the accuracy expert. This is where we are critically analyzing something. And from this quadrant, we cannot make a decision. The decision making comes from the Leonas of the world. When we're acting like the Leonas of the world, we're interested in making the decisions with the information that we've got. In the upper left, if you think about the character Felix Unger from The Odd Couple, Felix is all about the perfection and the exactness, and does not like to hear about estimates. In fact, when you estimate something to Felix, it makes him crazy. And even though I've used that this is male and female, this is everybody. This applies to both genders. So the upper left brain, their focus is on analyzing the details. They need a whole bunch of details before they can slip down into the lower left quadrant of the brain, which is the decision maker. They've got to talk with people. They've got to really process it. It's probably a longer sales cycle. And then this is the person who can't make a decision. And so if you would try to push this person into making a decision, they are going to be pushed away. They're going to feel pushed away, and they're going to feel like you are for sure not the person that they want to do business with. And in this part of the brain, we think in numbers and symbols. So when you're thinking about mathematical formulas, or if you're thinking about anything having to do with numbers and symbols, you're using this part of the brain. And this has to do with serotonin. When we have a sufficient amount of serotonin, we feel like everything's all right with our world. So think about the last time that you felt like you were involved in a very satisfying engagement with a prospect, or, with anybody, even with yourself. When you're calm and relaxed, you can think easier, you can think more clearly. And when we have clarity, then we can make decisions. So basically, this is what's happening in the left brain. And accuracy is all about, I want it to be perfect. I consider that there are flaws here and I want to resolve those flaws. All right, so now let's move over to the right side of the brain. And the upper right part of the brain is the creative appreciation part of the brain. We love to be in the spotlight. We like to wow people. We like to be engaged in something enthusiastically and feel just all present in that. And this is the visual part of the brain. And so that's why it's got to be a big show. And publicly, people have to feel appreciated. And the thing that really makes people that predominantly use this part of the brain, which is the dopamine part of the brain, the thing that really irritates them is feeling ignored or unappreciated, especially in front of others. So in the upper right part of the brain, which is 55% of the population processes information visually, this is important to understand in your content marketing as well. So because this is the most likely quadrant of the brain where you're going to be able to get your approach across, that you can help people, this definitely plays a big part in your content marketing. And then the lower right brain, this is the part of the brain where we are inspired, spiritual, and we feel feelings. And we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and we don't want to hurt our own feelings. So we want to avoid feeling disapproved of. And so if people feel like they are conditionally lovable, this is the part of the brain where feelings are going to get hurt. And we definitely want to avoid that. The chemical here in this part of the brain, and most often this is women, but there are also men that are very compassionate and deeply feeling and caring, is oxytocin. And when it comes to science, if women especially don't have a sufficient amount of oxytocin, they can't manage their stress effectively. And predominantly for men, if they don't have a sufficient amount of testosterone, they can't manage their stress effectively. So when you think about when you're in interactions with your prospects, it's really important to listen to what people are saying and the types of words that they're using, because that gives you clues of how you can talk in their language and you connect most easily with them. Okay, I know this is a lot of information, but because Erin is recording it, you can go back and look at this. All right, so now when it comes to money and the 4 quadrants here, Leona is interested in power and control and efficiency. And when it comes to time, she is interested in speed and efficiency. How can I get to the bottom line the fastest? When it comes to her health, they are usually hard on themselves and on others. Their expectations are usually unrealistically demanding. And when it comes to relationships, they're focused on the best return on investment when it comes to business relationships or interpersonal relationships. And so I've written basically the clues for all 4 of these quadrants. And so you can pretty much get an idea of, when it comes to your content marketing, how to approach this change that you are presenting to people so that they can actually live their dreams. All right, now, when you're talking with these people, if you listen to the words that they're saying, you can pretty much get an idea of which part of the brain and which of these processing programs that they're communicating from in the communication. And so you can also identify what kind of a communicator you are as well, which actually affects your content that you market with. So I give you clues here about what that looks like and sounds like and feels like, so that you can get an idea of how to talk to different people that you are providing service for using your business. All right, so again, when you're communicating, you want to think about the words that you're using. You want to think about your voice tone. You want to think about the pictures that you're creating in somebody else's mind, because that is all going to affect how you create your social media content and your marketing content. And so once you practice this, and I've been doing this for 3 decades, so I know that it sounds like it's easy, but involved, and it really is easy, but involved, because the brain is. But this really is so helpful as you practice these 4 viewpoints, and this is part of my training that I do with my clients. All right, so now you want to be on the same page as what's important to your prospect. In this example, my client was selling pots and pans, and what she thought was really important to the firefighters that she was selling the pots and pans to was the best price. But she wasn't listening to what was really important. So you can see what the 2 firefighters over there were talking about. They want somebody to help them cook their meals. So then when we changed her approach, what happened was then she started to make sales. So it's really so important to listen to what people are saying, your prospects are saying, so that you can align with what's important to them, because you don't always know. And this is where market research really is helpful. Okay, so you want to feel the way that your ideal prospect feels. You want to feel the same way that they do about their situation, whatever it is, or their condition. And when you feel that same way, you begin to think like them. And of course, feelings drive our behavior. All right, so we want to develop empathy for our clients. And the way that we do that first is by doing market research for content marketing purposes. Once you begin to understand this is what really matters to my market segment here, whatever it is that you're doing, then you realize, oh, this is how I can answer their questions in alignment with what's really important to them. So what I offer is a free website copy review, and I'll look at your website and the copy on your website, and then I will make suggestions on how we can change that so that the content is more engaging. And if this sounds like something that would be useful to you, you can send me an email at yoursecretwishes@gmail.com and schedule a consult with me today.
Thank you, Susan. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm going to go ahead and stop the share.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to ask, well, first I want to say this. Holy smokes, this was so stinking awesome. I'm like really glad I jumped on. Like I was driving in the car and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to write this stuff down and take notes and everything. So I'm absolutely going to listen to this probably 3 or 4 more times. But what I wanted to ask Susan is, the presentation that you shared, I feel like there were so many good things in there. Are you able to share that with us to be able to kind of have compiled together to go back to?
Well, this is why Erin recorded it.
Okay, so just on the recording, that's fine. I can take screenshots of everything and print it myself. No worries, that's fine.
Right.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Susan, with the 4 quadrants, I was a little confused on, is that one person has all of those things and they exhibit them at different points in time? Or are those really more like personas to be thinking about? Like, should we pick one of those to market to, or what do we really do with that information?
Okay, so it's not a persona, that's different. An avatar or a customer persona is different.
Okay.
These are actually like the equivalent of 4 living computer software programs by viewpoint in the brain. So as you're having a conversation with somebody, so let's just go ahead and use your example of being a realtor. As you're talking with somebody about, let's just say a residence, okay, which is going to be a different conversation with somebody that wants a business building, right? Because their viewpoints are going to be different. So if you listen to the Leonas of the world, the Leonas of the world are going to be the ones that are interested in how do I get to the bottom line? So let's say if you're talking about a residence, that conversation is going to be different, what bottom line they're going to get to. And so they process information so fast and so efficiently, it's like you almost can't keep up. And this is a part of the brain that, I mean, we all have this part of the brain, we all have this program in the brain. So when it comes to listening to somebody, listen to the speed and the tone of their voice. And you may need to speed up just a little bit so that you can say, well, if I understand you correctly, it looks like you're very interested in getting to the bottom line quickly. Is that correct? Okay, you would not say that to the Felixes, to the Kyles, the entertainers, or to the Janies of the world, because that's not where they're processing from.
Okay. Okay.
So in a residence, let's just continue to use this example. If you're talking to the Felixes, they're interested in the cleanliness. They're interested in what is the monthly electric bill or the gas bill or the water bill or something like that. How often do we need to spray for bugs? It's going to be all about accuracy, and it is not a fast processing part of the brain. It's a passive part of the brain. So then when you're moving over to the Kyles of the world, these are the ones in the spotlight. If you think about Robin Williams, he's like a Kyle. Okay, and so they're going to be on. They want to impress. They want things to really wow people. Wow, I'm getting this house. This is the most magnificent house I have ever seen. And so as you're talking about the magnificence of the house, you're going to notice that the voice tone changes of the person that you're talking to about a residence, and you're going to say, look in this kitchen cabinet. Look at how clean it is. The people that were here before, they were really clean, and that's going to perk up Felix's ear as well. And so as you're talking to the college, you say, it's really impressive that this house is so clean. And then the Janies, you would talk to her about, imagine snuggling up on a winter night in front of the fireplace so that you can just be cozy with your family. She's all about the feeling. So you see how the conversation, changes, but you need to listen where they're processing from. And yes, this does take practice, and that's part of
Okay, so everybody kind of has their dominant way to process this.
Right.
But if from a marketing perspective, do you have to pick one to try to market to, or how do you, if there's these 4 different kind of types of people, if you will, how you could turn one off by one type talking about the cozy fireplace, and you could turn somebody else off by talking about the numbers too much or whatever. So how do
right.
you,
and this is where the market research comes in, because the market research is going to show you, is this ideal client most likely a predominant visual compared with statistical? Is this market segment going to be more about relationships? Is the appeal more about relationships, or is it more about the efficiency of it? And so that's where this market research report that I do really is helpful, because then you can adjust your content marketing for the results.
okay.
So Susan, is that kind of more, that's your sweet spot, is helping people find that content like niche for them in their business? Yeah,
I do this research report, and then you realize why your sales are not converting. It's because, I didn't realize that most people that want my product or want my processing for these, not for the reasons I thought. And that's the other real advantage of doing the market research, you stop guessing and you begin to know. So this also helps you understand how to write your lead magnet, which is also called an opt-in. And it helps you know how to really market your content, in a way that makes sense to them. So what I'm going to do here is I created a lead magnet for people who are interested in joining my list. And I'm putting in the chat box, this is the link. And this gives you a basic understanding of neuromarketing so that you can, at a slower pace, you can review some of this information. And then, of course, I really encourage everybody to just take advantage of the website review. Just contact me because that's free. And that is going to give you customized insight into your business and what you've been doing. Just send me an email at yoursecretwishes@gmail.com, and you'll see how we can help you with your content marketing efforts, improve them so much.
Awesome.
Susan, I had a question for you. What personality type is best capable of using the personality type marketing? I mean, it's a skill to identify your client as to, what type are they? And some people could be, like me, could be pretty oblivious to that and not pick up the signals that they're a Felix or they're a, another type.
Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to confirm that you understand this is not about personality.
Yeah.
All right, so if you were to compare Leona to a software program, it would be like a word processing program, which is all about words. So if you hear a person sounding like a computer, that computes, that makes sense to me, I get it. Most likely you're talking to a bottom line person. This is a person that is the efficiency expert. They want you to hurry up and get to the bottom line. Okay. The upper left, the Felixes of the world, they are auditory programs. You're going to hear them speak about accuracy and formulas, but they're not going to look at you most likely. They're going to look away from you and they're pointing their ear at you. That is how they communicate. They listen. Okay, so if you see somebody doing this, the first thing to think is, oh, this person is analyzing information. Now, the Leonas of the world, they're most likely going to be looking right through you, and it's kind of spooky, and they're very quiet, and it's like they're, a robot. Those are the Leonas of the world. Okay, all right, and then the Kyles of the world, think of Robin Williams, like, oh wow, this is the best thing I ever heard. Wow, it's just fantastic. Wow, I'm so excited. Wow. Okay, and they're very visual, so they are looking at you. Yeah, I get that. It is very different than the Leonas of the world that are just staring at you like that. And then the Janies of the world, they're going to be talking about feelings. And most likely they're going to touch your arm, or they're just going to say, that feels right to me. Oh, that really touched me. Okay, but the Kyles are going to say, wow, I can see that. I can envision it. Wow, what an amazing thing to imagine in my mind. So as you listen to these cues, this is going to be explained in my neuro-marketing book. You'll be able to understand that better, because I understand, a lot of men, their brains are just not hardwired in more of a whole brain fashion like us women. And that's why men can't have kids. The brain is not hardwired for that. But for us, we're more whole brained, and that's why we can have kids.
I agree.
Thanks, Amy.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So which one are you?
I'm predominantly a Leona,
Okay.
but I happen to be in the percentage that's more whole brained. And there are actually assessments that you can take so that you can figure out who you are. But one of the easiest things, and I explained this in the ebook, one of the easiest things is to listen, to be quiet and listen. What words are they using? Are they sounding like a computer? Are they auditory, where their voice tone is really starting to change? And they're all excited about accuracy and excuse me, critical analysis? Or are they really excited? Wow, that's the best ever. It's just magic. Oh, we got to keep talking. We got to do business together. Or are they kind of quiet and subdued and they don't really want to be in the spotlight? Because the Kyles of the world, they always want to be in the spotlight and they have to like be a hero to everybody, you know, that sees them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for you, Susan. What if the majority of your audience you're not actually speaking to? Like I have kind of a unique cafe, so the majority of our content starts with social media posts. So I never really interact until somebody decides to, like, for example, order a custom cake, move forward with that. So how would you interpret or determine which type of person you're dealing with, Felix or whoever, based on content of email or social media posts?
Okay, well, something else to understand is something like 85% of purchases are female driven. So in general, the largest buyers are going to be women and they're going to influence men. Okay, so as you really understand your market, you understand the sensory effect of it. So it sounds like, do you have a bakery or is it a restaurant?
So yeah, it's a cafe, and the cafe, we have a wine bar, we have a bakery, and then do cafe stuff. So we offer food items, coffees, lattes, espressos, that kind of stuff. We offer certain bakery and pastries every day, and then make custom cakes. From the wine bar perspective, we have like daily wine flights and tastings and wine education, and then we have retail wine sales. So it's kind of like a hybrid in between all of this stuff. So we have a very diverse market, and 90% of our clientele is female based.
Okay, all right, so it kind of sounds like you don't really have, in marketing terms, you don't really have a cafe, you have more of a boutique. Okay, so it kind of sounds like it's a luxury model where it's kind of, there's a lot of exclusivity in it because there's a lot of wonderful, engaging atmosphere, and you're doing things that tantalize the taste buds. Is that?
Yeah, that's a great explanation. I already started my email to you, so I wrote out a lot of this. So.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like for your content marketing, you really want to do more tantalizing the senses. Okay. And since you told me that the majority of your ideal market is women, then women are going to want to pamper themselves. And that is oxytocin. When oxytocin pampers itself, then what happens is, oh, this is such a beautiful sensory experience. I just love being here. Okay, so you're talking about a lot of the lower right quadrant, a lot of the Jamies, and this is a girlfriend get together kind of thing. So in writing, it's a very sensual type of content marketing. And yeah, I'd love to talk with you about that.
So you're choosing that based on kind of the product and the way you want to attract the person. So even if I'm a Leona, I might appeal to that because you just made it sound good because it ties in with your product or something that you,
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's all about the story. It's all about the customer experience. And this is all, I mean, content marketing is so varied. And so it's like, that's why using neuro-marketing just makes it so predictable because it's based in science.
So what would you say for real estate? Is there one that would?
Well, most likely a lot of Leonas.
Okay.
Okay, so Leonas, if you think about Leonas, they're logical. If you think about Felix's, they're practical. Okay, at least in their mind, the way that they see things. But it depends on the piece of property. I think I shared with you one time, I was working with a real estate agent down in Mount Vernon, and she just had raw land and she couldn't sell it. And I looked at the copy and I said, well, let's write about how they can live their dream. And then within 30 days, it was sold.
Right. Great. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Thank you again, Susan, for your time. This was awesome. And we'll get this published and out to everybody so you can watch it again and share it with your friends.
Awesome.
Yep. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Erin.
Dan.
Thanks, Susan.
Yeah, thanks for letting us share this. I hope it's okay. I hope I have everybody's permission to share this on my social media sites, Facebook page, website. Is everybody okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.